Siloxa-Tek 8510. Mountaintop! Oh, just about smoked the camera. Hey everyone, welcome back. Adam here with Indy Farm Life. Today we're going to work on sealing the concrete in this barn, which I had poured in early July. It is now late October, and we're going to be using products from Ghostshield to do this. Now this is going to be a two-step process. The first thing we're going to do is use this Siloxa-Tek 4500. This is a concrete hardener and densifier, and it also increases adhesion of the sealer by 25%. Do you have to use this? No, but pretty cheap insurance when you consider the cost of everything else. We're going to be using the Siloxa-Tek 8510. This is kind of the highest tier of these sealers that they have. The 8500 version of this is water and salt repellent, but it is water-based. The 8505 version is water, salt, and oil repellent and is water-based. And the 8510 is water, salt, and oil repellent and is solvent-based, which is likely the most durable. So today, we will not be using any of those products. Just the Siloxa-Tek 4500. This can be used as a polish, and when you use it as a polish, you do not dilute it. However, for these purposes, when you're using it as a hardener or a primer, you actually dilute it in 1 gallon of water. So this makes 2 gallons, and 2 gallons will treat 800 square feet, and my barn here is 750 square feet. So I only needed 1 gallon. I'm not gonna walk in there because my boots are dirty. This has already been blown out and power washed, and I'll probably blow it out again real quick just to make sure we're good and clean. If you look at this, it does look a little splotchy and like discolored, like it's not fully cured yet, which is interesting because it's been, a few months. My buddy Chris, who lives next door, had concrete poured at the exact same time I did, and his looks flawless. Same company, same concrete. We'll see what the densifier and hardener does to this. I will say though, I wet cured this and I did it to the 9s. So maybe I am still curing here, and maybe the hardener and densifier will get that fixed up for us. I'm just going to use a couple cheap sprayers. These are not solvent rated, but I didn't really want to spend the money on them. I've got 2 of these for 40 bucks on Amazon. Links will be below for those if you want to look at those. Same goes with all of this. I'll link all this below. You can find 5-gallon versions of this a little cheaper, but my thinking was that if I don't use one of these because I have a better coverage rate than I think, it'll stay shelf stable unopened for a year. I would rather have one of these unopened than have a gallon left in a 5-gallon pail and never be able to use it again because it expires or dries out. So let's mix this up and get to spraying. This is perfectly clear, and as stated on the bottle, it should not discolor your concrete in any way, shape, or form. I don't have a roller on hand to back roll. When I do the sealer, I probably will. No need to rinse this out. It pours like water. It's not thick or anything, so we're pretty well cleaned out of there. Here's another quick shot of the concrete before we do it. Honestly, this is as much for me, or probably more for me, than it is for you guys, but I want to document and see how and if the hardener and densifier actually changes the complexion of the concrete at all. We'll see. So I'm going to use these control joints kind of help pace myself. I should have 1 gallon left by the time we get midway through here. I believe you're only supposed to have to keep this wet for a minute, so it's not going to need a ton of material. All right, everything is sprayed up, starting to dry on the surface there. One thing I will be curious to see is the coverage of this. So this stuff went really far, it's water plus this, so it's pretty thin. But when you shake this, it does not seem like it's much different than water. So I'll have to do some reading and research. All right, it is spray day, and it is absolutely beautiful out. Love fall time in Indiana. So this concrete has been sitting for about 7 days now. Didn't see a lot of change in the coloration here. Didn't expect to, so we are where we are. I'm gonna jump right in, fill up one of these sprayers and get going. As a reminder, this space is 750 square feet. Each one of these will do 1 coat at 300 square feet. You gotta do 2 coats. It's a wet on wet coat. So 5 of them should do me just fine. And since it is a wet on wet application, I'm gonna do my best to try to split the space up and not walk on it multiple times, but we'll see how we do. So there it is, all complete for now anyway. You can see I've definitely got a glaze on there. Should dry to an invisible finish, although the instructions do say that it could enhance a substrate in some cases, which I would be okay with, because I don't know why mine's still so splotchy. Maybe a concrete expert out there can tell me. Maybe I'm not fully cured and I shouldn't put this on, but hey, if I put this on and it works and I'm not fully cured, then what we'll do for you guys is concrete. Stand here by the deer and get that nice scene in the background here for you as I talk to you. So a couple things about this. One, let's talk about coverage rate. So the bottle says up to 300 square feet on a single coat. And again, I had 750 square feet, so I bought 5 gallons for 1,500 square feet. I did not need 5 gallons. So I don't know if it's the primer or the fact that that's power troweled. That's probably more of it. Truly, I could have probably got away with 3 gallons if I would have stretched it. Ended up opening 4 and then spraying probably 3/4 of a gallon around the outside of the barn on other concrete. It went far enough. Obviously you don't want to run short, and that's why I bought them in the 1 gallon containers versus a 5 gallon pail. Now I got 1 gallon sealed up and it's shelf stable for a year. I can use it on concrete up around the house and some other application. If you're in an enclosed space, I would recommend wearing the N95 or maybe even something a little higher. I could pick it up through the N95. It's fairly strong, and like I said, in an enclosed space, it's pretty pungent. I wouldn't want to do that in a basement without anything on. In that barn with the door open, it wasn't too bad. So with those few items in mind, we will see how this turns out. Right now it's still very wet. I'm gonna give it probably 7 days before I come out here and do any kind of testing. I think the instructions do say it takes about 7 days before you'll see maximum resistance against oil, water, salt, etc. All right. Things look a little different here after about 9 or 10 days. I've obviously started moving a ton of stuff back in here. I was really anxious to get this space back. But as far as the concrete goes, you can still see I have the same discoloration I had previously. The good news though is that it didn't really change the look of the concrete in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of what everyone's probably after, using a sealer like this. So we'll do a couple quick tests here for you guys. I obviously can't give you the long-term review of this just yet, but I'll at least show you the repellency that's built up on this. It's amazing when you pour water on this just how it beads up just like the hood of a car would when you wax it. Pretty incredible. That's awesome. I don't know about you, but that's impressive to me. It just beads up. Look at those droplets, that's awesome. Just get a little towel here and wipe it up. Oh, I got more water than I needed. Way more. But you can see right there, it doesn't even kind of register the concrete's wet. In most situations, you'd instantly be able to tell where the water was poured. Just wipe it right up. Yeah, now as you stand back, you can't even see where the water was poured. 0 of that water was absorbed into that concrete. My splotchy colored concrete doesn't make it any easier for you guys, but definitely can't tell. All right, let's check some oil. We use a little waste oil. This is not pond dye, although it'd probably be just as good, if not better, of a test. We're literally just gonna pour a little bit of this oil, this waste oil, right here on the concrete and just see how it beads up and if it leaves any kind of stain at all. We'll give it a minute or so here too. About half a minute. I got more than I bargained for here. The wet rag I have doesn't help. Let's get a dry one here. You see a little residue. Come back with a wet rag now and clean that up. Wow, that's awesome. You can't be mad about that. That's impressive. But once it's fully dry, you can't really even see where it was. I like it. So those are just a couple quick tests, but this stuff performs exactly like I expected it to and, well, like advertised. A lot of state DOTs use this stuff on roads, bridges, highways, etc. namely because, well, A, it works, and B, it's actually scientifically proven to not reduce the coefficient of friction, i.e. it doesn't make the surface any more slippery. So when you have a power troweled floor like this, you think about getting, your garage floor wet and how slippery that can be. This won't necessarily add traction to your floor, but it will not reduce it. That can be a big deal if you have little kids running around. So you saw the application of this, super easy. The densifier went down, wait 7 days, then put this stuff down. The densifier was water-based, no issues with the sprayer there, and the smell wasn't terrible. This is solvent-based, but I will say that using that little 2-gallon sprayer, the seals were just fine for the 3.5, 4 gallons I sprayed. No issues there whatsoever. So unless you're doing, thousands of square feet, I think a normal low-pressure pump sprayer would be just fine. It was for me. And as mentioned, this stuff does have salt repellency, so it's good for driveways, patios, etc., which is why the DOT uses it. So I probably will put this on my driveway at some point. Very pleased thus far. And again, buy it in the 1-gallon containers instead of the 5-gallon pail, because I have a gallon sitting in my garage now that I can use for some other application. So if you have concrete you're wanting to seal, give this stuff a try. It doesn't make it look pretty like epoxy, but if you have a space like this where you're gonna have machinery, oil, etc., this is what you need. So if you guys would, hit that subscribe button, come back and see me, and we'll see you guys next time. Oh, just about smoked the camera, but that's fun. Mountaintop.